shortest life expectancies because in the old South, they fry everything. I mean, they'd fry water in the South if they could. It's part of the culture, right? It's just part of the culture, man. And when you consume that much fried food all of the time, you're loading your body with acrylamide, and you're going to die. And by the way, here's another little tidbit, medical tidbit. That part of the country is, has the shortest life expectancies of people in the U.S. It's also that part of the country that has the highest per capita percentage of medical doctors. Because medical doctors are like vultures. They go to where people are dying.
What about eggs? What about
one of the best foods anybody can eat unless you're allergic. Now, if you're allergic to a chicken egg, get a duck egg or a goose egg because you won't be allergic to those. But an egg is a perfect protein. It's the protein that all other proteins are compared to, the chicken egg. It's inexpensive. It's loaded with cholesterol. Loaded with cholesterol. Let me say that one more time. Loaded with cholesterol, which is very important and good for you. And there's no relationship between cholesterol and heart disease. It does not exist.
Thank you for clarifying that, because that has been a long-standing myth that most of us have been hypnotized by.
It's crazy. And we believe that Alzheimer's is a physician-created disease and is a cholesterol deficiency disease. And if you look at the statistics, in the last 45 years of statin drugs, cholesterol-lowering drugs, fat-free diets, and exercise, right, heart disease has remained unchanged. Zero change. However, Alzheimer's has risen from obscurity to the fifth leading cause of death, fifth or sixth, depending on how you crunch the numbers.
My mother died of Alzheimer's.
Interestingly enough, the portion of the brain that's affected by Alzheimer's is made from cholesterol. So when you drive cholesterol into the ditch with statin drugs, your brain dries up. You get Alzheimer's. Also, your sex hormones dry up because all sex hormones are made from cholesterol. So if you're a man, you can't make testosterone, so you get erectile dysfunction. If you're a woman, you can't make progesterone, so you get hot flushes for 5 years instead of for 2 months like your grandparents. Why? Because you're driving cholesterol into the ditch. Why? Because you trusted your MD. Why? Because you've been brainwashed by 100 years of extremely effective propaganda. Knock it off. You want to have fun with your MD? Ask him to provide documentation that proves lowering your cholesterol has beneficial action on your heart. Cannot do it. Half of the people who have heart attacks have low or normal cholesterol levels. As a matter of fact, if you're a postmenopausal white woman, the research clearly shows that total cholesterol over 300 is cardioprotective. But you're not going to hear that on the ABC Evening News. You're not going to hear that in USA Today, because the companies that make the statin drugs, it's something stupid like $20 billion a year in statin drug sales. They have us all by the short and curlies, and you don't even know it.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. I just did an interview with Dr. William Davis, who wrote the book Wheat Belly.
Yeah.
And we did a whole piece on wheat and the inside of it. I notice you cover it also extensively. One of the things I heard you say in one of the shows that you did was that children eat approximately 6 bowls of cereal a day. Is that really true?
Yeah, the average, and I think the statistic goes in the last 40 years, grain consumption in the U.S. has increased by 64%, I think, 60 to 65%. And the lion's share of that is teenagers with cereal consumption. The average teenager, 6 bowls of cereal a day. And, from our point of view, the proteins in wheat, barley, rye, and oats are dangerous and deleterious and produce net negative physiological results. And in wheat, barley, and rye, the protein is called gluten, and the oatmeal protein is not called gluten, but gluten is a protein. So we advise nobody even look at wheat, barley, rye, or oats. That's right. Great, right? So this is where everybody stops liking me. Dr. Glidden says, don't eat wheat, don't eat barley, don't eat rye, don't eat oats, don't eat olive oil, don't eat the skins of baked potatoes, don't eat fried food, don't eat well-done red meat, You can eat red meat rare or medium rare. The same stuff that's in the skins of the baked potatoes is in well-done red meat, heterocyclic amines. And last but not least, don't eat nitrates that are injected into meat, because when those are heated, they turn into nitrosamines, which again are carcinogenic. Now, that list of good food, bad food can be downloaded for free on the front page of my website, which is drglidden.com. That's drglidden.com. And if you can't remember that, just do a Google search for Dr. Peter Glidden. I pop up #1 all the time. And right there on the front page of my website, you can download that link for free. Good food, bad food, right? So, again, this is my, this is my curse, right? That we have to go around the country telling people, don't eat your bagels, don't eat your pizza, don't eat your pancakes, for goodness sake.
Well, thank God in this particular arena, you're not alone out there. You're not alone in the wilderness, and that you now have others who are part of the message and part of the scientific message of why the wheat and the grains and the other things that you're mentioning, like barley, oats, and rye, are deleterious for the body. It's such a pleasure to do this interview with you. You have a great personality. You're a lot of fun. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
One last thing. I've been practicing naturopathic medicine for 20 years now, and I've been in the trenches. I've done homeopathy, I've done bioidentical hormones, I've done heavy metal chelation and mercury detoxification, I've done narrow reference range medical nutrition, nutraceuticals, you name it, I've done it. And I know most of the big players in holistic medicine. I went to school with half of them. And as God is my witness, since I have been following Dr. Wallach's therapeutics and using Dr. Wallach's protocols, the results that I'm seeing with my patients are extraordinary and unbelievable. I've seen type 2 diabetes resolve. I've seen high blood pressure resolve. I've seen arthritis resolve. I had a patient that actually grew cartilage over a fake knee, right? He had a knee replacement and cartilage grew back over it. You wouldn't believe the things that I've seen people recover from it. And in his wisdom, Dr. Wallach chose to set longevity up as a grassroots business. There are less than, 3,500 licensed naturopathic physicians in the world. And of those, there's less than 100 with more than 20 years of clinical experience. And of those with more than 20 years of clinical experience, there's only 2, myself and Dr. Wallach, that give hundreds of free lectures around the country every year. And why do we do this? Because we are attempting to build a grassroots coalition of the informed. Because, there aren't enough naturopathic doctors to help end human suffering. There just aren't. And the M.D.s, their therapeutics are failing us for chronic illness. So what are we going to do? Are we just going to get Dr. Wallach and myself and a handful of my buddies just going to get rich, having private practices where we can treat 200 people a year? No, we're not going to do that. Dr. Wallach has developed easy to understand, easy to access, easy to use health recovery protocols. We have joint support protocols. We have blood sugar support protocols. We have blood pressure support protocols. You don't need a doctor's visit. You don't need an insurance copay. Get in touch with us. Get in touch with a longevity representative in your area, because we're in the business of training people in Dr. Wallach's health recovery methods, because as crazy as it sounds, you have the potential of becoming the last best hope that your friends and family members and church members have to recover their health. Because we will teach you how Dr. Wallach's health recovery protocols. You know what we're going to charge you to do that? $10. It's a $10 one-time introductory fee. Join us. Join our cause. We can show you how to raise your friends and family and church members into health, because we're dropping like flies in this country for one reason and one reason only: lack of knowledge. So get in touch with us. We'll show you how to lift yourself up into health. And if you want to join us, if you want to join our cause, I'd love to have you, because quite frankly, I need your help. I need as many of you to call me up and join our cause as is humanly possible, because we're suffering in this country needlessly. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your time. Remember,